Hi, and thanks for returning to CoinSuri's channel. I haven't looked at the federal government's resources in a while. Nonetheless, there is over 95 trillion in private sector debt. I'm not familiar with the term Fed balance sheet at all. It hasn't occurred to me much. To sum it up, though, it's not nearly 95 trillion, nor is it what it formerly was. In order to maintain a consistent level of credit across the economy in the event that the private sector failed and the government took control, it would need to reset its $5 trillion balance sheet and then extend it to replace it. Please be patient with us while we arrive. Still, one of the most compelling mysteries is why the dollar hasn't depreciated yet. The Austrians will cry the same cry the last time the US dumped the gold Stan, for the same reason. The dollar will fall in value if it is shocked, but that hasn't happened yet. Our financial legacy from our ancestors is substantial. For the straightforward reason that before 1968, the US economy was based on equity financing. Most people on the planet most likely gave you a Series EE savings bond in the 1950s, either directly or indirectly. Your granddaughter might have done the same. It's now possible for your grandparents to co-sign your credit card. Okay, so we were given assets when we were born, but we were also given debt when we became adults. That is, in fact, the situation. It has only recently made its way into each person's capital structure. But the consequence is a massive loss of real wealth. It's not overt, though. Furthermore, it has been going on for 50 years. Yes. Given that 1968 marked the year the United States switched from equity to debt financing as its economic base and 1969 marked the year of the country's inception. I have so lived my entire life in a world where American stocks are declining and seed corn is king. And for that reason, those who predicted that the dollar would tank in 1971 when the US stopped using gold as a unit of measurement were totally wrong. The reason for this is that we have access to a sizable sum of equity funding. Because we have been squandering money by borrowing more, the United States will become bankrupt. Governments would eventually have to file for bankruptcy due to the oncoming debt tsunami, as James accurately foretold. However, given how erratic the financial system is, it may happen tomorrow even though I don't believe the naysayers' claims that we're any closer. This implies that 2008 might happen again, but with a systemic flaw that would need the Federal Reserve to print tens of trillions of dollars in order to compensate for the private sector's incapacity to extend credit. I believe we can all sense it coming. Yes, I do. In my view, it is definitely feasible. The fact that the dollar is the reserve currency appears to be acceptable to a large number of individuals worldwide. I think a lot of places are willing to explore new ideas. This is one of my bright-eyed dreams for a digital asset. It may not come true anytime soon, but it is still conceivable. As long as countries accept that the dollar will not perpetually function as the global reserve currency. When I started selling software to banks, a lot of people asked why they should purchase my product instead of using in-house solutions. They were unaware that only a small percentage of the world's banks, roughly 10 in all, are in charge of creating the infrastructure needed to power the entire planet. HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Credit Suisse, and a Dutch bank are some of these organizations. The system they designed and oversee would be unpopular with the other 6,000 smaller banks, who are their fiercest rivals and whom they despise the most, because it is skewed in their favor. For decades, the United States has unfairly benefited from the world's reserve currency status, which is something that any country would want to see happen. I believe nations might experience the same thing. And all the other countries would concur, having a worldwide reserve currency would be convenient. To be honest though, most countries know that they won't be the ones to create a new global reserve currency. As a result, they may prefer an unpredictable currency than one that is governed by their main adversaries in geopolitics. Since no one wants to rebuild the US dollar, I believe that the best-case scenario for digital money is for these nations to determine that it will no longer be their currency. Function to play. After all, nobody bought the US or the EU to replace the US currency, did they? In Russia, the notion of the ruble taking the place of the dollar is unpopular. And China is the nation that wishes the new one to replace the dollar the most. They might therefore choose to collaborate with someone other than their most potent geopolitical foe, an unidentified source of funding. That appears to be the most likely result if you're looking for a successful conclusion, based on my analysis. Getting everyone to agree is the true problem with the money, though. That is, they might be inclined to comply if their geopolitical adversaries impose a dollar substitute that goes beyond a simple change in leadership. I don't think it's a big deal if some cryptocurrencies become wealthier because there is no supervisor to make decisions for them. Would you kindly let me know how this is progressing? I used my Visa card to make a payment while dining out. I didn't pay for my food, therefore I'm wondering if they can let me leave without calling the cops. I still have credit card debt to pay off, though. The restaurant requires money sent to it by wire transfer or some other means, but as of right now, nothing is working. Payment and settlement have always functioned separately from one another. SWIFT is merely a payment method, it does not handle settlement. Making a decent payment becomes incredibly challenging because you can't confirm the receiver's identity or even if they have a receipt. Another possibility is that you are completely unaware of the expenses and the currency rate at the time of payment. So, a mechanism was thought of. Moreover, the division of these payments into institutional and individual categories has a historical basis. The origins of these systems may be traced back to the time when massive wheels of magnetic tape were physically moved from the transaction computer at the bank to the settlement computer, which connected to other banks on a daily basis. Settlement could not be completed during the day because the tape needed to be on the computer processing the bank's transactions and then transferred to the settlement computer when it was finished. It's serious, this. It's serious, this. Viewing the glitzy front-end application for your bank makes everything appear perfect. Not to add, it works well on mobile devices. After all, this is the 21st century. However, if you delve a bit deeper, it feels like entering a time machine. Being in your mid to late 70s is lucky. That's when the money tracking systems were built. They're falling apart today, and even if blockchain technology didn't work at all, there wouldn't be a system like that. Even if all cryptocurrency values crash, our ministry won't be much impacted because the lawsuit didn't stop us from starting conversations and projects with central banks. I am aware that one of our main areas of interest is, predictably, the United States. But this is not the view held by people in other parts of the world. I believe that it has long been evident that countries such as Japan, Switzerland, and the UK maintain the belief that unsettling does not mean secure. Going on to the CBDC hasn't really been a barrier, with 5 countries already confirmed as partners, 2.5 mountains to be revealed, and 20 or more other ongoing negotiations. We have already announced partnerships with 5 countries, and there are at least 20 more active negotiations. A comparable amount of undisclosed collaborations also occur. SWIFT, an international network for banking and financial communications, wants to dominate the interbank payments market, but then a new technology called Ripple appeared and began to threaten the blockchain-based system that made it possible for quick, cheap, and intermediary-free cross-border transfers. Due to its greater security and transparency, it was a desirable alternative for financial institutions wishing to update their payment systems. As more banks shifted to using Ripples, it quickly surpassed Fast as the accepted method for interbank payments. The importance of the Ripples platform cannot be disputed. The usage of Ripple's digital asset, XRP, in the company's on-demand liquidity product expanded along with Ripple's popularity. With the help of this solution, financial institutions can use XRP as a bridge currency to facilitate cross-border payments more quickly and affordably. With the explosion of the cryptocurrency industry, banks began to use XRP and ETL, increasing the price. To make sure they have adequate funds to make payments, financial institutions have begun purchasing XRP in bulk. Not only that, but after recognizing that Ripples and technology would upend the banking system, investors began purchasing XRP in bulk, which further increased its price. When Ripple grew in popularity, it became evident that the financial sector was about to undergo a drastic change. Older techniques of making cross-border payments were gradually being replaced by a quicker, more secure, and more efficient alternative. In conclusion, Ripple's success has prompted XRP's price to soar, making it one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies today. The financial sector was completely changed by XRP's adoption in its own offering, innovation, and ripple effects. Kindly subscribe to and like my channel. Bye, and see you later.